on the plantations, the women who worked in the estate houses used coal heaters. These heaters were filled with wooden coals to iron clothing belonging to the masters. Records of persons who lived and worked on these plantations in Moruga can be found at the National Cocoa and Chocolate Museum.
We have the archival records dating right back to the early 1900s, and that gives details of the people who have lived and worked on this plantation and on other plantations, cocoa and coffee, around the country. And following that, we also have on display artifacts from the time period, from the late 1800s, the early 1900s, and those are all originals that we have on display. Some of them were made by the hands of the East Indian indentured laborers, the Americans also, the early Venezuelans who settled here, the indigenous people also worked on this plantation at one time. And this plantation itself would have employed on a single day over 300 workers just during the crop time and harvest time.
The plantation owners and managers used horses to move throughout the estates. The National Cocoa and Chocolate Museum is located on what was used to be an old cocoa estate.
The plantation that we're on, which the National Cocoa and Chocolate Museum and Heritage Complex of Trinidad and Tobago rest on, this was established by the Herreras, and prior to Herrera, it was estate of Alfred Huggins, who was an American descendant, and Frederick Herrera acquired that property in the late 1800s and basically turned it into a cocoa and coffee plantation. Now, the cocoa and coffee plantation amounted to well over 2,000 acres, and here is where he settled, and Frederick Herrera also did business with Arthur Cipriani, Segots, Angostura, Loughlin and the Gans, and also the Stallmeyers during the early 1900s. So that in itself also shows of the aristocracy and the influence of the Herreras in the early 1900s.
Thousands of tons of cocoa from the estate went to various parts of the world. St. Peter is the patron saint of fishermen and fishing towns. The St. Peter's feast has been celebrated for centuries throughout the world. Moruga is one of the towns that is rich in fishing. The St. Peter's Monument is located close to Moruga Museum at Grand Chemin. The monument was commissioned in March 2012 by Eric Lewis. Today, the St. Peter's Monument stands tall before the city of Moruga, a beautiful landmark. The St. Peter stands 30 feet above sea level. It is made of concrete, steel, plaster, and cylinders that were filled by the hands of the members of the St. Vincent Ferreira Society and fishermen from the Moruga beach.
This area was dubbed St. Peter's Square to commemorate the patron saint of fishermen. Moruga is also known for having some of the best fish in the country, and also for having a lot of fishing boats and a lot of fishing vessels, therefore bringing in Moruga also supplies this country with a lot of fish locally. And the St. Peter's here, St. Peter's celebration has been celebrated in Moruga for over the last 100 years with the Catholic Church. However, the statue that you're seeing behind us was established or constructed in 2012 by the St. Vincent Ferreira Society by the hands of the young people at the time. It was designed by the St. Vincent Ferreira Society Youth Organization, and it was designed by the youths, and it was the development of it and the building of it was done with the local community, the fishermen, and the entire column that you see standing behind me was filled with concrete and boulders over one night.
This southern town boasts of many aspects of the rich history of Trinidad and Tobago. There's so much to explore, so much to learn in Moruga.